So, ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you, say like LA Knight. Who is the most important fictional Canadian TV character of the last 25 years? No, nobody from Schitt's Creek. Okay, show, but you think really hard. Who is the positively polarizing man that everybody in Canada can agree upon? And as we like to say, he's the smartest person that we know. Of course, it's got to be the ultra Canadian that has not a bit of United States in him. He's all Canadian. Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys. Now, Bubbles, to many, he's a fictional character, but to me, he's not. I've met a lot of Bubbles in my life. And one of my good friends from Woodstock, New Brunswick, is Bubbles' twin, because every time he opens his mouth, I learn something from him. And he's a great guy like Bubbles. The character is portrayed by musician Mike Smith. Bubbles is one of the three main protagonists on the show, along with Ricky and Julian of Trailer Park Boys. The triad, the fucking Father, fucking Son, and the fucking Holy Ghost. He was created by series creator Mike Clattenburg. Bubbles also appears in 3 feature-length films: Trailer Park Boys the movie, Countdown to Liquor Day, and Don't Legalize It. Bubbles also appears in numerous spin-offs, including Out of the Park Europe, Out of the Park USA, and the animated series of Trailer Park Boys, voiced by Mike Smith. Now, Bubbles is the youngest primary character. He's Julian Ricky's closest friend and his series' breakout character. In the first season, like most of the characters in the show, Bubbles maintains a somewhat reserved demeanor to look good on camera. As the series progresses, he reveals many sides to his personality, including a love of cats, a love of Atlantic Grand Prix wrestling, a love of mustard and bologna, and liquor and whores. Bubbles' full name is never revealed, as he's simply referred to by hospital, courts, and other officials as Bubbles. A Haligonian, which means a native of Halifax. He's known for his hoarse maritime or English, sensitive nature, pearl snap shirts, and thick glasses that magnify his eyes to a considerable degree. And according to Mike Smith, he picked this up at a cheap, I think, Walmart, and it's been history ever since. These glasses are likely due to aphakia, a condition where the lens in one eye is missing, and that is known for requiring glasses of that strength. Bubbles has never been seen without his glasses, even while sleeping, and in photographs of him as a child. Now, the episode Propane reveals that Bubbles may be legally blind, as he cannot see how many fingers are held up directly before his face by a truck driving instructor who admonished him for not being able to see jack shit. Now, Bubbles often acts as the boy's conscience, and of course the conscience of every true Canadian, and tries to be the voice of reason during the misadventures, including against Mr. Leahy, Randy, and other denizens of the trailer park trying to stop Freedom 35. He is intelligent, has a larger general knowledge than most of the general residents, displaying knowledge of Greek philosophy, classic literature, as well as strong interest in spaceflight and rocket science, cats, and vintage rock and roll, excluding Rush. Now, the rocket science one results in one special episode when she and the boys meet Canadian astronaut Commander Chris Hadfield and participate in a spaceflight training simulation. Bubbles regularly chastises Julie and Ricky for being drunk and on drugs, although he's occasionally consumes marijuana and alcohol, the later usually when he's depressed. Bubbles gets upset whenever Ricky and Julian fight, and he's often forced to act as a peacemaker between the two in such scenarios. He also believes in and harbors a fear of Sasquatches, which he calls Samsquatches, has to be seen to be believed. Now, when he was age 6, Bubbles' parents fled the trailer park to escape debt collectors, and he was placed with Julian's grandmother. Bubbles lives in a tool shed with his numerous cats, where only his family, and in Don't Legalize, he acquires a school bus that he inherited from his parents, although it isn't shown or mentioned again by season 8. Bubbles has taken upon himself to care for every stray cat in Sunnyvale, including a mountain lion he named Steve French. If you love something, set it free. And it led to a mountain lion male rape that has to be seen to be believed. Now, at the beginning of the series, he makes his living salvaging shopping carts, repairing them, and selling them back to stores. In later seasons, he attempts to start various legitimate enterprises, which are already promptly usurped by the boys as fronts for legal operations and ultimately destroyed, and of course leads to jail time, which is a rolling gag at the end of every season early on. Now, despite this, He is usually willing to participate in the boys' various get-rich-quick schemes, with only minor objections because he considers Rick and Julian to be his brothers, his only family, other than his kiddies. While Bubbles isn't always spared the consequences for their activities, especially in later seasons, he is usually able to escape jail time because Rick and Julian often cover up for his involvement in their schemes when facing arrests. However, Bubbles gets arrested at the end of season 4 as he's caught driving with a fake license as part of a scheme. He also brings heat upon himself and Julian and Ricky in season 7 after stealing Patrick Swayze's personal model train while in Maine to arrange a drug deal with Skid Row singer Sebastian Bach. The theft leads to a $50,000 reward for Bubbles, causing a shitstorm by Jim Lee, at that point reinstated as police officer of the park, to violate their peace treaty to make an attempt to arrest the boys in the hopes of them getting a reward. Although his life is not always easy, Bubbles takes great pride in being a self-made man and prefers the simple life of independence to any offer of free lodging from his friends. Bubble has a sentimental, kind nature and often cries when threatened, upset, or moved by kind gestures. The episode Dear Santa Claus, Go Fuck Yourself reveals that Julian's grandmother promised Bubbles' parents that Julian would also always look after him, and he's never let them down. Now, Bubbles also is a pacifist. He dislikes violence and firearms and is often appalled at the dangerous situations that Ricky and Julian get themselves into. But when he is forced into a shootout, his firearms of choice are AK-47 variants, such as the Galil-Mar and Type 56 assault rifle. Bubbles' wrestling alter ego is the Green Bastard with a Atlantic Grand Prix theme. His family favorite band is Rush, and was Alex Life's guitar tech at a concert, and who also made a guest appearance. Now, he doesn't have a major alter ego, and you can't say this word 3 times fast because he might come back and haunt Americans. Conky. Conky is his alter hero, a ventriloquist puppet that Bubbles allegedly received from a family member who used him in vaudeville times. Conky wears a sweater over a flannel shirt and large glasses, similar to Bubbles. Bubbles treats Conky as a trusted friend, but it bestows on him a caustic, annoying, and domineering personality. Conky tends to insult people, especially Ricky, as his utterance even shocked Bubbles himself. Not long after Bubbles created Conky, Ricky and Julian stole Conky and threw him in the local swamp because they were tired of his insults and worried about Bubbles' sanity. Now, in probably what many consider one of the most important trailer park story episodes, in season 4, episode 5, they must recover Conky to convince Bubbles to go to the hospital to have an infected tooth treated. Conky immediately resumes insulting Ricky and bullying Bubbles, and in this episode, Ricky accidentally puts plastic, adhesive on his face, and there's a piece of, not piece of shirt, but anyways, caught to his nose. You have to see it. After convincing Ricky not to shoot Conky, Julian shoots Conky dead, demolishing the puppet's face because Conky tells Julian, "Oh, you fucking Patrick Swayze." He finds ways to insult. He blew his head off. Now, Julian and Ricky dispose of remains after Bubbles gets back to himself in the swamp as the distraught Bubbles looks on. Now, at the end of season 7, the stressed out Bubbles retrieves and restores Conky. During this time, it is implied that Conky might have his own sentient consciousness as he calls the police on the boys while everyone, including Bubbles, is asleep. Eventually, Bubbles realizes he needs to lose Conky for good and drowns him. Conky reappears briefly in season 8, but is not seen nor heard of from again afterwards. Rumor has it, there might be a Conky movie down the road we'll have to see. In season 7, episode 9, Bubbles tells how his grandfather, a vaudeville ventriloquist, left Conky to him. This could be a retcon for Conky's origin or indication of Conky's warping influence on Bubbles' sense of reality. Looper has described Conky as the most divisive character in the series. Now, Bubbles, or Smith, has a recording career. Liquor and Whores, one of the most famous Canadian country songs of the last 20 years, has to be listened to believe. But American musician Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses has been described as one of the biggest fans of the series and of Bubbles, and Axl brought the character's actor Mike Smith on tour with him several times, and he debuted and duetted on Liquor and Whores. Liquor and Whores, liquor. Well, it has to be listened to be believed. In 2005, Mike Smith and his characters Bubbles, along with Rob Wills and John Paul Tremblay's Ricky and Julian, threw out the first pitch of the home opener of the Blue Jays' 2005 campaign. He also appeared on the Bare Naked Ladies album Sack Time, A Trailer Park Boys themed restaurant was opened in Halifax, Nova Scotia, called Bubbles Mansion. It was partly owned by Smith but closed in 2010. Now, if this is the first time you're hearing about Bubbles, I want you to go on YouTube and the Bible Pimps episode, where the fake Bible sellers who are a front for a strip prostitution sideline ask Bubbles at the start of the episode, "Can you read my sin?" Yeah, but can you go fuck yourself? Bubbles is the heartbeat of Canada. He says things we cannot say. And like any good friend of a triad, usually in Canada, it's not a bromance. It's usually a triad. I have a triad in Woodstock. My good friends Jim Shaw and Herb Ward have been friends of mine for almost 40 years now. And when we get together, we remind ourselves that the fact Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles have that characteristic. The Canadian triad is this. To be a real party person in Canada, you must have three people. And you must be close like brothers. You don't have to be brothers. Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles. You can't say one with the other. Ricky, Julian, Bubbles. The fucking son, the fucking... the fucking Father, the fucking Son, the fucking Holy Ghost. No parody. But the battle against Randy with no shirt on and Leahy, they're accepting of their gay relationship, but they're not accepting of Leahy and Randy's attitude towards them. It's very bizarre. It's the strangest relationship. Now, my good friend Candy Palmer, God bless her soul, she died. She was a guest actor on a later season of Trailer Park Boys, where Snoop Doggy Dogg and Tom Arnold were obsessed with the park. And Candy got the fight with Randy. It was a nipple twister. But all I can say, ladies and gentlemen, and Reedy McNeil pulling dope in Jacksonville near Woodstock in an abandoned marijuana field has to be seen to be believed. This would be comparable to, I don't know, Oprah Winfrey doing it in the States. Ladies and gentlemen, Trailer Park Boys, we love you guys. And Bubbles is the patron saint of Trailer Park Boys. No matter how bad Ricky and Julian are, and no matter what shit that, the Trailer Park members get into, Bubbles will find a way. And he's our green bastard. And you shouldn't invite him to a wrestling show in the Maritimes. That'd be great. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like Bubbles, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share it. If you don't like him, go fuck yourself. Have a good day.